Hi, and welcome to this week's Mortgage Broker broadcast. My guest this week is mindset and performance coach Christian Hoyle. Christian's been on the podcast before. It was episode 34 back in November 2021. And the reason why I wanted to get Christian back on, a lot of obviously changed over that period of time, nearly 18 months later. However, I just wanted to get back on to talk about habit forming and what he does and how he works with firms, and also looking at, from a mindset point of view, just his thoughts and his opinions and other stuff that he talks about when he's coaching. So I just thought I'd get him back onto the podcast to just have a chat. So let's get him on the podcast. You're listening to the Mortgage Broker broadcast with me, Craig Skelton, the podcast which helps mortgage brokers at all stages of their mortgage broking career. So welcome back onto the podcast, Christian. How are you?
Amazing, mate. Yeah, really chuffed to come back. Someone was asking me
come back on it. I was looking back thinking, when was it you was on the first time? Which only seems like 2 minutes ago. It was November 21.
I looked before. I thought the exact same.
It's mad that, thinking about how much time has fallen. I know we've sort of seen each other during that time, but you think about the first. I can't believe the podcast's been going that long. Never mind, it was when you came on it, and I think yours was episode 34. So yeah, it's been a while.
What am I going to be now? What's the episode now?
93. This will be about 96, 97.
Nice.
So,
excellent.
Getting there. Big 100. I don't know what I'm going to do. I just only realised the other day that I'm coming up for to record the big 100, because I normally record like a couple of weeks in advance. So thinking, I need to plan this out and think about what I'm going to do for the big 100, but we'll see. But the main thing is, mate, you're back on the podcast. So that's the most important bit right now. So how are you doing?
Good. Really good. Yeah, I'm just... I'm in Wilmslow. I've been working at a business in Wilmslow, so I'm in one of their little pods. It's one of them places where everything is happening. You're in a place where things are happening. It just makes you... you're pumped with it. Everyone around you is just making things happen, and you just feel the energy. I think that is really important. Your environment that you place yourself in anything is really important. So when you come to an environment like this, it just feels productive.
Definitely. No, I think that's it. You're absolutely right. We will do some introductions first of all. So because I knew with this were going to happen. We said no agenda, no, we're just going to chat. We're straight into the podcast. I knew that. So first of all, Christian Hoyle, do you want to explain who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name's Christian Hoyle. You can find me on LinkedIn. And I work as a mindset and performance coach. And basically what that means is I work with businesses and I go in and I deliver workshops on mindset. And then I look individually at team members. We have a little bit of a one-to-one. And basically what I do is I try and find little things of improvements they can make, maybe in the way they think, the way that they act, habits they've got, the way they go about their life, making little tiny improvements so that when I come back in 2 weeks, them improvements they've felt, they've absorbed them in their life, and then they sort of like an end goal of where they want to be. We just break it down into steps, and these little improvements get them there. We don't do monumental big changes because they're like the January dieters, just totally doesn't work. Little tweaks in their behaviour, habits, and the way they think in order to get where they want to be further down the line. So I do that because I'm obsessed about mindset.
Excellent. I think let's just go straight into this podcast because I'm so excited to get you back on. But then one thing that you sort of talked about there, I obviously connected with you on various social media platforms. I see what you're doing. I see like the stuff you're doing with that business, stuff like that. But just something you sort of said on there about what did you say? The January diet? Is that something?
Yeah, the yo-yo.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I know you exercise and I exercise, and for me, it's one of the most important things that makes me perform, makes me pump, makes me feel good. It's not just about my body, although you do get the body from it. It's about how my mind, the discipline, everything works. So I'm used to it. I've turned it into an habitual habit. I don't have to worry about doing it. I just do it naturally. I have different things. Whereas people come into the gym in January, and I'll give you exactly what to do. And funny enough, this year there hasn't been as many, but I'll see my mate. Let's call him Mike. I go, Mike, how's it going? He'll go, yeah, mate, I'm banging into it now. I'm gym 6 times a week. I'm doing a calorie diet, 1,500 calories a day. I don't eat chocolate. I'm off the booze. I'm not going out anymore. And at night, I'm doing some additional classes. And I look at Mike and I think, oh, great, Mike. He's not going to last more than 2 weeks because he's made unrealistic changes to his life. And it's like such drastic changes. Unless you've got the mindset of an absolute elitist, which Mike clearly hasn't, because he's never been to the gym in the whole time I've known him, and he's always been one of them, oh, don't do it. You sort of set unrealistic expectations for yourself, and then when you fail, you just give in. So you've almost lost it there, and it's about making... People don't make drastic changes. I call them yo-yoers, and whatever it is, whatever it may be, they'll yo-yo because they'll just come back to where they started in the first place. But what we want to do is create habits in how we think, habits in behaviours that we do, habits in actions, make them habits and make them long-term so they last forever. Then you get the long-term effects of them.
Absolutely. And I think that's it. Like did a video not so long ago on a podcast about... Because I hate the New Year's resolution kind of regime. Like you say, you talked about yo-yo there, which is absolutely... Everybody's visualising the yo-yo thinking, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's about, like you say, I'm not a believer of this new year, new you, new me, and all this bull. It's just not right. It's just about having the right habits day in, day out, week in, week out, structuring your days, structuring your weeks to make sure that the habits happen. So like you say about, I have cold shower every single day. Like I've done that now for over a year. Like,
do you have a warm shower first? Or do you go, yeah, I do as well.
Yeah. Warm shower first, absolutely. And so yeah, warm shower. But the thing is with that, it happens every single... It feels abnormal not to have it. So, for example, I've probably heard it on a few podcasts and a few videos I've done where I've had flu, I've had COVID, I've had and so then it is that cold shower was... There was just a couple of days where I just couldn't do it. There was just no way I would turn in that tap. But it felt abnormal to get to the end of the shower and not turn because I've got my watch, so I set a timer. So before I get in, and this is habits, isn't it? It's just the same talking about. Before I make sure I've got my watch on, my phone, my watch is ready to set the timer. The timer is set for 2 minutes and 5 seconds, because then I know that I will take at least 2 minutes in the cold shower, because it takes 5 minutes to go from warm to 5 seconds. Sorry, warm to cold. But I set my timer before I go in, get into shower, normal shower, do whatever you need to do, and then at the end of it, turn the dial, set the watch going, and then have that euphoria, shall we say?
Yeah, well, totally. Back in the game. Brings you back into the present moment for definite. Yeah, 100%. I've got a few like mine. I don't do it every day because sometimes I'm in a bit of a rush. Do you know, I'm rushing to get the shit. I've got a train to catch or something like that. But I'll always use it if I've ever had a day the day before where I'm resetting myself. I woke up the next day thinking I start again now. Because you're always going to have moments where you don't love the day. You'd be lying to yourself if you're always going to be happy, you're always going to be in a good place. That's not what mindset is. Mindset's being realistic with yourself and recharging and rebooting when it happens. So I've got one. So I live opposite Kendal Castle and I love it. And I'm the same. Yours is turn the shower on. Mine's habitual because I do it all the time, but it's not like you described. But I have one when I take my dog walk around the castle, I run up it every day. I don't think about it. I just get to a point. It's 1 minute 40 and I'm at max. I mean, my heart rate when I get to the top, I can't go any further because you can always run faster. So when I get there, I'm full. And that's the first thing in the morning. I found for me, even in bad times, which happen, I consistently keep that. That's the process. I keep the process up and I'll always feel the rewards. Does it always make me feel good? No, it doesn't. Sometimes it makes me feel terrible, but I always achieve it. And when I'm walking back down, I'm out of breath. I feel like that's the beginning of it for me. It might not make me in a better mood, but that consistency for me and discipline is what sticks with me. It says, I can do it. I can still do that no matter what's happening. What else can I do? What's next? Let's go. And that's now just a habit. And so when I work with people, that's what I want to do. What can you turn into a habit? And it can be like the silliest thing where I've worked with someone recently about when you get home, what do you say to your partner? And he says, what do you mean? Well, I said, when you get in, what do you say? And he'll go, well, sometimes I'm just like, I need a bit of time on my own. Or I need to do this. I goes, well, what about starting this habit? Every time you get in, it's not about your day. You say, hi, how are you doing? How was your day? And you do it every day. And 2 weeks later, I came back and said, how is it going at home? And he went, that weird little thing is actually made us a little bit stronger. because you're caring about someone else rather than bringing in your energy of good or bad from out of it. This is what life's about, the home. You know, work's great, but your home's your home. And I think that when you change the balance on it, nothing but good comes, because that's a habit of thought. People that habit of thought are to be negative or to be miserable. I heard a podcast this morning, which was brilliant, that said a way to stop yourself a negative thinker is when they say of everything, describe something, yeah, this bad thing's happening. But at the end of it, they have to say a positive where they go, but it's also really sunshiny as well. So they add in, and that becomes a habit. And they train themselves to not always talk in a negative way, but to always finish on something that enlightens and brightens. It's crazy little things, but we've got to do them.
But the things like those sorts of things are just, like you said, crazy little things, but they're not these big monumental New Year, January diets and all the rest of it. It's just, and it's just forming habits. That's all. You don't need these. I think because of the world we're in, everything's, you need to have monumental goals. If you're not doing this, you've got to do this. You've got to, like, John, everything's sort of like bigger, better, and the rest of it. Whereas you can never underestimate the little changes, because then they will become big things. If you just doing that and then doing something else, and then just those little changes, habits, are monumental. Like for that guy going home, like I say, home life is so important. It is like the reason why we're here. And like I say, it's sometimes hard to get, especially when people are working from home and they're just walking downstairs from one of the bedrooms where they're working nowadays, or whatever they're doing. But it's just, I think people just miss the point that it's just those small things every single day, rather than you waking up, like you thinking, I'm going to run up this hill, I'm going to run up it, and by the time you thought about it, told yourself why you're not going to do it, and ultimately your brain's thinking, this is going to be painful, so I don't want to do this. You'll be at the top going, I should have run up there, but I am today, kind of thing. Whereas for you, like now, it's just a case of get to a certain point, I'm running. I'm running.
I do think about it 3/4 of the way up, because that's the hard bit. So it's no pain at all. It's like, yeah. Then it just goes, and I feel it. So I think about it for about 30 seconds, but I'm never quitting. Ever. Never, ever. And that's the difference. I'm not quitting.
And that's it. You need to have that persistence, because it's the norm. Even though you're worried about it, even though you're thinking about it, like I say, it's not painful, and you're aware of it. Don't get me wrong. I'm aware that I'm returning the college. I'm aware, thinking, what's it going to feel like today? But it's never as bad as what you think it's going to be anyway. So, because then it's just because, it's just get on it and just get it done. And you're like, I focus on the end result. So you're thinking, how good am I going to feel? Bad, like the euphoria, like I said, because I do get that natural high, which is then, and I feel like if it's like one of those where, do you know, like if you've been out had a few beers the night before, and if you've been out, done something, and thinking, do you know what, I can't be asked doing that cold shower today. It's like, no, you need to, like, they're the days when you really need to be a bit groggy. And like for you, for the run, it's like, well, no, I need to have that buzz and that feeling that.
Well, my other one at the minute is, so I go to the gym 3 times a week. And just before Christmas, it got, this lodge now did 2-2-1. And I've heard a very famous thing, you never skip leg day. And I had loads of injuries as growing up through football, because I never did any legs. So my knees weren't very good. Whereas now my legs, my muscles around my legs are tight. Because when I heard that if you skip legs day, no one skips legs. I don't skip legs day. So it's one of them things, I think it's really important that, only to me, it's no one else's life. I'm just living my life in me. And I know when I've done that, I know what's next. What else can I do? What else will I not give in? What else can I take on? So do the hard stuff, and you'll just, and it's like, prove a point. Like New Year's resolution, I'm not against New Year. I'm more about every week you want to be a little bit better in some area. When you set your list on a Monday and you want to achieve it, there'll always be something in it that's a New Year's resolution in it, because it might be out of your comfort zone, or it might be something you've got to achieve. So, I'm all up for it, because I'm all up for improving. But I know what you said. There's been a lot of slagging about New Year's resolutions this year. But when someone sticks to it, it's brilliant. But the thing is, they rarely do.
No, exactly. Well, what's the start? I think is it 90%? by mid-January, 90% of the New Year's. And I asked the question on the podcast saying, what was your 2022 New Year's resolutions? Can you remember what they were? And if you can't, then, well, you're either good and you've changed the whole thing and they're now habits, or they were just never important in the first place. But do you find with, like you talked about growth there and moving forward, do you find that you've always got to feel as though you're constantly moving forward with everything that you do?
Yeah, good question. Interesting question, actually, because life's not always moving forward, is it? Sometimes it's moving downwards, and it's part of the cycle that you can't change. It might be another influence is in on you, but when you're moving downwards, not through yourself, sort of thing. I'll wrap you with something that happened to me, yeah. And this was a big so I coach mindset because I'm obsessed by it, and I know you are, Craig, and that'll come across in all your podcasts. So I niche. So I've been coaching for 3 years, but I was a teacher and I've run businesses. I've been obsessed by the way that we think. Success and failure is in your mind. Winning and losing is in your mind. And it's gather all of that and how to push yourself. So I niche in the industry I'm now. I niche in recruitment now because, this is recruitment. If you ever need mindset, it's recruitment in any form of sales. 4 days before I started to do it, I split up with my partner. The biggest test on my whole mindset ever. And just because I'm good at it doesn't mean that I don't feel the ill effects of like falling out of love and all that kind of thing. So I was going in, motivating 20 people at a time, being the most unmotivated that I've ever been in my life. Not at work though, because when I went to work, it cut it off. Because when I was listening to everyone else, what they're doing, I knew I could help them with them. Because everyone knows what they need. It's not like when I go to see someone, they know what they need to do. So all I have to do is get inside the little box in here and let them tell me what it is that they know they need so they can make that change because they have to be motivated. So I was great at that, but it was every night I finished work. As soon as I finished, walked out, that was the test. That was a test on what I was thinking. That was what a test I was acting, how I was feeling. And it was like, interesting enough, going through that was one of the biggest tests of my life. And it's like I'm 45 now. I'm a single male. Can't wait to find I want to find my next wife. It's going to be great. But all my mistakes in life are brilliant for everyone I work with. Because all I try and do is not let them make a mistake. Because I've met lots and I know them. And if they trust me and go with, which they often do. And one of the things that I do now, and I do so I work with businesses, but I also do one-to-ones. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. People just going through change. You want to make some changes and we talk about it. First thing I say, if they're in a relationship, I said, tell me what you are in your relationship out of 10. And they'll go, what do you mean? I go, out of 10, what are you? And then they'll give me a number and I'll straight away say, okay, if that number's good, it's like, wow, this is brilliant. This is the great fabric to build from. And if it's not, we can come up with ways that will raise it. Someone will say a 6 and I go, I want it to be an 8. And I think in the next 4 weeks, we can make that happen by stopping some of your behaviours you've turned into habits. Let's swap a new habit. It's just amazing to be able to, it's easier when you look at someone else because I've got loads of stuff that people help me with. I'm not, people think you're a mindset coach. You're always in a good space. How the hell? I'd be lying if people believe it's like, but exactly. I can get back in the moment. I don't let things go over too long. I know how to work on myself. I need to get back in the moment, be me again. And that becomes a difference, how long it takes to do that. I don't lie to myself neither, which a lot of people seem to do.
Definitely. And that's the thing is, when you go back to something you said there about taking people out of their comfort zone, and even as a mindset coach, even as a coach, you're still stepping out of your comfort zone every single day yourself. So you're not asking people to do something that you don't do yourself, which I think, like you say, it's always those preconceived ideas that, well, you're a coach, or that, well, you've got it all sourced, you've got it all worked out and unraveled in your brain, and everything's we're still going through the same questions, the same thoughts. But like you said, is that you're just helping people. Like you put it beautifully there, which really, I think I hear people talking about being a coach, and a coach isn't telling people what to do. Coach, that is not a coaching. And I see people sort of the badge up coaching, and I can sort of see the videos, I can see listen to the podcast, and you just thought, well, all you're doing is just telling people what to do. That's not the idea of what our coaching should be. Like you said, you find out what's going on inside there. A lot of the time is they've got that inside. They know it's inside. It's just working with a coach to then make them accountable, but then bring it out into the open and bring it out to them. It's okay to talk about it with your coach. It's okay to discuss it because it's in a comfortable environment. But guess what? We're going to help you achieve what you already know you want to achieve. I
think one thing I do, which I think is a winner for me, I'm just honest. Do you know what? When I was growing up, we were, I'm from a farmer place. I'm from deprivation, and we grew up, and it was challenging and difficult. And I just think that people, when you go through life and you learn these skills that you pick up, like from things that have happened to you. Do you know what I mean? You sort of like, if you've been through adversity, I almost feel like you've seen the other side. So when you know what the other side is, you think, I don't want to be on that side anymore, and I'll do everything inside myself not to be there. And you're aware of it, sort of thing. The interesting thing, I totally lost my train of thought there where I was going.
It was good in terms of what you were talking about. Absolutely, that's just always way, and I'm a lot older than you. So, do you find that? And this is not relevant to losing your chain of thought, but I've been reading because I read quite a lot, and it's normally a book and I've read lots of books, and I never share. I get the feedback saying, "Why don't you share and talk about the books that you've read?" Because I learn a lot, and they talk about investing in yourself and stuff like that. But I think you get to a certain point in your life and a certain age, and like you say, you're talking about there were things you were talking about things like the deprivation, things that have happened to then that it keeps it relevant in terms of because you've seen the other side and what the other side looks like, and you don't want to go back there. But do you think, with regards to age and where you're at, do you think that sort of that happens anyway? Because I think my point is I've read 5 a.m. Club. Read that recently. Just nearly finished it now.
Didn't love that.
Pardon?
Didn't love it. Didn't love the audible. Didn't like the voice in the audible. I've lost where I'm going with that one.
So the book, to be fair, I've got a few audibles and I can't. The problem is I listen to those in the car and my chain of thought I can't. I have to read a book and then take that on board. I've got my phone at the side of me to make any notes or takeaways from things I'm reading. I can't do that in the car, obviously, kind of thing. But that talks about you get to a certain point in your life and a certain age, and you'll do a right angle turn, and you'll go and you'll figure it out. You know where you're going. You know what you're trying to achieve, but you look at it from a different angle because you're a different person at that point in your life than you was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever the case may be.
So I know where my train was, but you just flicked it then. So what I was on about, I grew up with that. And then we were naughty. We were up to no good. If you come out of that background, it's quite difficult. We didn't have any social control at home. We could do, so I rebelled. It's part of my past. I grew up. One of the guys who I rebelled with, he was called Matt Goldtooth. That wasn't his name. That was our nickname to him. Clearly, I don't know if you can work it out, but he had a gold tooth. So anyway, Matt Goldtooth was just like us, exactly the same. It was mad. Me, Matt Goldtooth, and my best mate, we were all from out of area and moved to the Lake District when we were 12. Every one of us when we were 12. One was Birmingham, one was Hull, and I was Manchester. And we moved there. And so Matt Goldtooth then left us lot, and we messed up in where we live. He moved to London and really messed up. And he wrote a book called Wasted, and it was by Mark Johnson. If anyone's honest in the book, at the time my wife bought him because I knew him. What a book. And this is what I do in my coaching now from this book. I've never ever read absolute honesty in my life about really what he's as a person, what he thought, what he went through, what he did. His honesty to himself was like, I'd read it, I think, that happened to me, I'd never have said it. And I remember it made me feel things more. So now when I do the coaching, I'm just complete honest to a point. I will let anything out about me because I think if it's a mistake or something I learn or whatnot, let it not have to happen to them. Because there's some crazy stuff. It's so obvious. Oh, I thought that, and this is what happened to me. And I'll tell the story. And sometimes some of them are horrific. You know, I've had a great life as well, but there's been bits of not so great bits. And I love to save people from going in it. Do you know? I've just done it now with the company owner now because I had a business issue. I've saved him a lot of money in 3 years' time when they got a sale. But he's done a little bit of work now, and I made a mistake in that, so he doesn't have to. And it's like, it's almost like everyone I work with doesn't have to have any of my experiences that I've had. So it's only the ones that I've had. But yeah, I love to save people from that, and it makes them happier.
I think that's it. But like you say, you were total honest, like you said there about the honesty. You're total honest with that. I think that has to be something that goes hand in hand. It's like I've been coaching a broker earlier on today, and we talked a lot about the honesty side of things, because you've got to when you're coaching, you've got to feel that you've been in a safe environment to be honest. It's got to be warts and all. It has to be exactly how it is. What's going on inside, bringing it out in a comfortable, trusted environment, and then agreeing how it's going to move forward. But like you say, you're drawing on. You're not someone that's like, oh yeah, I've done that and this happened. Like, and do you like what I would call a Tommy topic? We always know those people there. I've got a tenner, they've got 12 quid.
Yeah, there's another name for them. Some 10. I can't remember what it is, but it sums it up in one thing. I can't think what it is. Probably a listener will know it.
Tommy Toppets are the thing that I've always
Tommy Toppet. It's similar to that. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. But that's it. Like, and that's not what you don't do. That when you're coaching your firms, you are drawing on those experiences and those values and the things you've learned on the back of that as you do, and you are brutally honest. Like, I watched one of your videos on YouTube where you was totally honest about what you went through at a certain time when you built your business up and you were selling it and things like, and it was sort of like, wow. Honestly, mate, it was I was just glued to there was no chance I wasn't watching it to the end to then look to sort of to listen to you. Very open. My point was, it was very honest, and that's what there was no flowering it up. There was no buttering up. You were just brutally honest, and that's what you're like as a coach with your clients. Is they're honest with you, and you are honest with them, and it has to be that has to be how it works.
Well, when people start being like, if you show honesty to a point where they're looking at you like, because at the end of the day, I've had loads of successes, but I often talk about my failures because that's where success comes from realizing about them. So when I tell them that, they're a little bit, oh, he's telling me that. I wouldn't say out. Then they're willing to let theirs out because I want them to know when especially in a group, when I do it in a group, I can see faces thinking, I've done that. I'd never say, and it was like me reading that book because he'd from the similar background. I was like, I'd never say that. But that vulnerability that you give lets people let you in. I find that if you try and be be the big man, people don't want to let you inside them. And once they let me in, the magic you can produce is unbelievable. Like you work with someone, it's just great. It's just brilliant. I love it.
Absolutely. You've got to show that side of vulnerability. You've got to show that side, which then, because like I say, if you just building things up as invincible, you're this and the other, it's just not. That's not. People don't buy into that because they're not actually. You're full of bull. You're trying to tell me to be honest with you, when actually you're not being honest you're not being honest to yourself and not being honest to me. So we can't work together in that kind of way. So you've got to show that vulnerable side of things. Not everything's. You're not invincible, shall we say?
No one's invincible. Some people pretend to be, but you don't know what they're doing behind closed doors. And I think that you're only lying to yourself. And, I'm not invincible at all, but I don't give in. I keep going. Do I want to give in? Of course I do. Because I'm like everyone else. But what I can do is when I start being in that sort of like fixed persona, which I don't want to be, I realise that's the person I don't want to be. that's the person who will not get me to where I want to be. And if I listen to that persona in my mind, that I don't think I can do this. Maybe I should just quit. Maybe I should just give in. I hear it, but then I have to think, no, mate, you can do this. Yeah. You can do it. And there's this stat. I love this stat. I use it all the time now. I got it off LinkedIn, but it is, how do you prove something? 90% of what we do is just showing up. Like, if you're a bit scared of a presentation, you're worried about it, show up, because once you start, you're going to have to do it. Yeah, you might be the best ever, but when you showed up and you were there, it happened. You got a call you don't want to make. Turn it up, set the dial, because once you go, you'll feel that 10%. You just got to show up, and that's the difference. That you just got to show up. Like now I'm in Wilmslow in some, I don't even know what it is. It's like a little box thing kind of thing. But we had this arranged, and I genuinely do, Craig. You've got a good way with people. Like, I don't think I've got to take notes to my other one because it's specific. But you just flow so well. I enjoy it. It's good listening. I can imagine you've got a lot of good listeners who've listened in a lot. Yeah, it's really cool.
I appreciate that, man. I think that, but what you were saying there, for me, and about that sort of showing up, is that as human beings, we're not built to have a lot of choices. The more choices we have, the worse decisions get. If you've got a choice of 1 to 5, the chances are you're not going to get it right. Whereas with showing up, that's not literally, you've got to do that. Like you say today, we're recording this podcast at this time. There's no choice in the matter. It's like, well, I'm showing up, so I'm going to make the right decision because I don't have any choices. And it's okay to. And as human beings, we've got millions of choices to make. Our brains have millions of choices to make every single day. The brains are not built. Our brains are not built to deal with.
Can I give you something? What options and choices are? Because it's actually that you've identified something that's the beauty of everything. That when everyone thinks everything's done, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I can't get out of this. It's too much. I'll go. What are your options? I haven't got any because they're all like streamed by I haven't got any. All right, then what's your first one? Next minute we've got 3 options. There's always 2. And they think they haven't got any. I go, well, there's 3. Have we got any more? Oh, yeah. As soon as you start bashing out the options, you think, I'm not held. I've actually got a choice with what I do then. It's when you haven't got a choice and no options, you think you're not going to get anywhere. But really, you've always got an option. Yeah. And if you start putting them out, you think, now I've got something to think about. Before, I thought it was just that. So it was centralising my vision. I couldn't get beyond it. Now I've got other options.
Definitely. No, and that's it. It's about those options to be able to then see your way out. I'm not sort of saying you don't need any choices and you shouldn't have any options. It's just that we shouldn't have many. Like you say, you've always got 2 and you generally find a 3rd. So that's it. It's either, like I talked about it, like I did a video last year on Blue Monday, which I've released again.
I saw it.
And I released it again this time. Again, it's sort of like, and it just goes back to the 3 choices. You either do nothing, like you just give in, do nothing, or you change. They're your 3 options. That's it. And if you're going to do nothing, then shut up and just just get on with it. If you're going to leave, then leave. But if you're going to do something about it and choose that option, well, just give the best account of yourself, because you'll find that it's not like another stat to throw into you is about, what is it, 85% of what we worry about never happens. Again, it's like from a mindset point of view, like you said before, pick up the phone, get and do that presentation. It's like and I talk about with brokers, is that if you get a lead coming through and you've never spoken as a cold lead, you can spend more time worrying about it, thinking what they're going to say, overthinking what they might say or might not say, rather than just picking the phone and going, do you know what? Let's just deal with it. I'm a human being. I'm capable of dealing with this. And the worst will never happen, because
you just reminded me. I've just spoke about something before, right? And you'll know, like anyone probably above the age of, I don't know, about 37 will know this.
And I use this specific number that made.
Yeah, all right. I know it's specific, but you'll know it as soon as I say it. But it's like, so I work with a lot of sales. I go in the sales, and they're on about picking the phone up, and I say it's about showing up. And I give my example. When I was a kid, in order to get a girlfriend, you had to go to the payphone and ring their house number. And so you'd put the number in, you get to the payphone, put the 10p in, ring the number, and sometimes you bottle it and you just put the phone back. But you'd always think, I've come here. I didn't know that was mindset then, but my mindset for that was always good because I wanted the end game. So I remember being in the front. I could put it down 10 times, but in the end, I'd met that call. And sometimes you didn't know him. It'd be, mum or dad answers, "Hi, would it be possible to speak to Claire, please? Who is it, Christian?" And they shout, "It's Christian on the phone." And then you go, "Hi, Claire, we don't know each other. I go to this school." And and it was like, I mean, that was a different thing. I'm saying 37 because around that, but you didn't, what other option did you have?
No, exactly. And that what's the worst can happen? Like as a whole,
they said no. They said no a lot. They said no a lot. I'll tell you right now.
I know, but you got a few yeses, which you want to pick. If you hadn't picked up the phone, you would have got those yeses.
Exactly.
And
but then some people live their life by being too scared of a no. Do you know what a no is? It's like failure's feedback. That's my new thing. I love that, failure's feedback. It's hard to see it at the time, failure's feedback. But I always think if she said no, that's because that wasn't meant for me. Whatever goes on was meant next, like that. It isn't a failure. The failure would be not making the call. That's a massive failure. I meet loads of people who were like, they're a nice guy or girl. And I think, God, I had it the other day. I said, you know what? Someone I was coaching at someone, I said, do you know what, Dan? What annoys me about this? Your confidence is spoiling the life of some girl who would love you for your energy, enthusiasm, and niceness. Because I love being around you, but obviously as a heterosexual man, I'm not looking at that. But I'd like more time, and someone's missing out on you, but he doesn't know it. There is someone in them energies because he's too scared to get a no.
And is that down to is that just the way they bill? Is that something that they can't get over that rejection? Is it just they say is that because I see that a lot in terms of having that the way to think? Well, it's just what is the worst kind of if they it's slightly different when it's a girl because obviously that is personally against you. If you're picking up the phone to talk about something that as a business, as a sales proposition, and you get a rejection, it's not a rejection against you. It's against the product, what you're offering, or it's what you're offering that the reject. It's not you personally. It is when you're spending 10p stood in the rainy phone box, ringing then that is against you. However, it's not when it's a product and it's just you. But like I say, you've got to focus on the yeses. You've got to focus on that is in terms of what you just sort of said there. To him, that should reminisce with him because he's thinking you've sort of said somebody's missing out. You're an amazing person somebody could benefit from massively, but just because you've got that ego or fear or whatever it is, then they're missing out because of that. So you need to lose that right now.
Well, here's another thing. This guy is called Dan, right? I don't want to say what, but he's one of them people you love. His energy. I went there 2 weeks ago to do the coaching, and he wasn't there. I was genuinely gutted. I genuinely missed him because you imagine when you're coaching, you get two energies collide, and it creates this unbelievable feeling. And he wasn't there. But one thing with Dan, he was an actor, and now he's in sales. And I looked on his LinkedIn, I didn't see one video, and I went, why is there not a video on you're an actor. You can pull off all these personas. He was a good actor as well. I went, how can you possibly not have that in there? I could see him registering why did I do all that training? And I'm not using it for free now. I'm actually, because you could see he's really good at it. I'm not that good at it and I still bash him out. You know what I mean? Because if I don't get my message across.
Exactly. Christian, I'm just conscious of time. You're a very busy man. I appreciate you coming to the podcast, back on the podcast with no agenda. It's just been amazing to catch up with you. It's just been such a blast, as I know it would be. And the podcast, the first time, which I don't think I've ever told you this, the first podcast we did, which was episode 31, was the most listened to, at the time, it was the most listened to podcast in 2021.
No way.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Wow.
So the first year.
You never told me that. Oh, thanks for that.
I know. Yeah. Sorry. I'm sure I did. In the back of my mind, thinking, I'm sure I've told you.
You didn't. I'd have known it'd have been etched.
I'm telling you now,
forever.
I'm telling you now, and we're saying you. So that was in November 2021. 21. and that was the most listened to podcast that year. And then hopefully this one's going to be the most listened to of the year 2023 today. But yeah, we'll. But no, look, I appreciate you coming on. You're totally honest, giving everything out there, giving your time, because I know, like, obviously time is so precious to you in terms of what you're doing. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of your videos, seeing more of your socials and the YouTube as well, because there's sort of some stuff absolutely.
Yeah, I'm on the. I haven't done YouTube because I'm on with work at the minute, but I am going to come back to it. But so what I would love is anyone out there with a business or someone just wanting to make a change or wanting to have mindset into the world and see the positive effect that it always brings, then I'd love to speak to them. Give me a DM on LinkedIn. Yeah, my YouTube, I've got interesting, Craig. That video you watched, I weren't supposed to release that. It did it without me thinking because I'm not bothered because I am going to release that video, but I wanted to make some changes within it. And then there've been all these views, and I thought, I have no idea how it happened. I never set that off. And it was one of them. It was good job you made a comment because it made me think, I'm not meant to release that. And I've had to pull it back because we're going to do some editing on it. So thanks for that.
Well, at least I made you aware that it was out there, but it was a cracking video. Have you took it offline then now before you did it?
I've already took it off because we're going to edit it. I'm going to edit a couple of things out from it. And then I want to do a bit like, add a bit of now into it. Do you know what I mean? Basically, the video is about something that happened to me and how that's why I'm doing the work I do now. And I want to explore and put that in really and let people know that it's one of my biggest failures, but it's going to be one of my biggest successes.
That's
how I'm looking at it anyway.
No, absolutely. I'd like to say it was a video on YouTube that made me just stop and not even have any distractions, think about anything else. I was just sat there watching you, listening to you. 110% of my focus was listening to what you were saying and how you were saying it, and it was awesome. And that's why I had to comment on it, kind of thing. So, and then,
well, appreciate it.
That's why I know why now. When I was doing some research for the podcast, thinking, why can't I find that video?
Yeah, it's not. Well, it have a big title, wouldn't it? Because I lost a huge amount of money. It'll have a great title, and my name's Christian Hoyle on YouTube. If anyone wants to look, and I've been off YouTube because I've been so busy with work, but I'm definitely going to go back. But I just have to. It is going to be surrounding that video, and there's going to be a lot of things around it. Sort of exciting.
Oh wow!
I'm excited.
I'm excited to get version 2. Then I'm looking forward to that. And then the Wainwrights. We haven't even talked about your Wainwrights and your Wainwright challenge and how that's going, and whether it works.
The challenge. Do you know what took over? I started last year, and I said I'm going to do all the Wainwrights in a year. And then I split up. And work got really busy. So I got to 145. And do you know what? If I have to be honest, I got to the stage where I wasn't enjoying it because instead of doing home and away, home and away, home and away, all the last bit was really long drives, an hour and a half. And some Wainwrights are rubbish. And I thought to myself, I did set a target, but my major target in life is number one is to be happy. And at the minute, this isn't making me happy. So I'm always willing to think, if this didn't make me happy, I don't have to prove a point to me. I've done all of them anyway at different times over like 20 odd years of climbing. But I didn't do it then. I just think that's some people, if a target's not working, just leave it. Yeah. Happiness comes first.
Yeah, definitely. And on that poignant point, we will end the podcast. So Christian, awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you for listening to the Mortgage Broker Broadcast, the podcast which helps mortgage brokers at all stages of their mortgage broking career. If you have any questions about this podcast or any topics you want to discuss, or if you're interested in working with me further, then please get in touch.